Good morning, Judith.
Good morning, Sonya.
Welcome to the Coach's Cup. I was being extra peppy there because I'm having a little trouble getting going this morning.
Oh my word, Sonya. I didn't tell you this earlier. I've already been up since 2 a.m. And this is my second pot of coffee.
All
Let's go.
right. Well, Judith is going to be on it today. Welcome, everybody, to the Coach's Cup. I'm Sonya Green from Sonya Green Coaching.
And I'm Judith Fender. I'm one of the No BS coaches.
All right. So today we are talking about people pleasing and how to move from people pleasing to unconditional love.
Okay.
Tell us, dear Judith,
Hold on.
tell us how you would define people pleasing and why this is such an important topic to you.
Okay. There's what I know from Brooke. There's what I know from personal experience. And I can concur that people pleasing it feels good in the moment. People pleasing is, you kind of get that in the moment, like it's just going to be easier to just say yes than no, but it costs you in the end, right? Like
Mhm.
you are not being truthful with yourself, you're not being truthful with the person, and then you end up doing something you really don't want to do.
Yeah. So, can you think of some examples of people pleasing in that you've run up against? I mean, I think we all
Yeah.
have those examples that we can think of, but is there anything that really sticks out to you like this is a moment when people pleasing had me by the throat?
You know, in the current environment of COVID, I'm not socially interacting with anyone except family.
Uh-huh.
And even that, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say even that is very minimal because we're all working and doing our thing. So I don't know, Sonia, you might have to help me on this one. I know that we all people please all day long.
Yeah, I mean, I think about it anytime I think about expectations that are laid on us. And I think when I'm saying us, I mean women. One of the things when I'm coaching that I hear a lot is, well, I'm expected to have my job and take care of the family. I have to keep the house clean. I have to keep everybody fed. I have to work my job. And, they start layering these things on there.
Mhm, mhm,
And when you start peeling it back, well, why do you have to do that?
mhm, mhm.
It's this expectation that this is what's required to keep everybody happy.
That's so interesting. Immediately my brain was going, is that what's going on when they are doing that? Or just questioning like right their choice, their decision.
Yeah.
Is it to was it just yeah, you're right. So easier to just cook dinner
Mhm.
because it's what you do.
Yeah. And and I think it can also be other things like in the moment somebody asks you, "Hey, would you be on this PTA committee?
Yeah.
We really need somebody to do this. Would you be on?"
Yeah, that sounds so fun.
I
Yes. Join
know. And so
her.
and so rather than look that person in the eye and say, "I
Mhm.
would rather stick a hot poker in my eye than do that." I'm a little dramatic, but
You know why I'm laughing? I did every year my kids were in school, I was in the PTA. So, but I did enjoy it. I always hesitated, but I learned something and had so much fun. But in the moment, it was because some friend, you know,
mhm. Well, you're right, and I will tell you as an introvert, I always my go-to response in my brain was, "No, it's dangerous. We don't get out there and do that kind of thing. We might have to meet people and talk to people." But in the end, I would enjoy it. But that's not That's not necessarily people pleasing. People pleasing is when you take it on and you really would rather stab yourself with a hot poker.
I know. I'm really like, I think about, like, when as I don't know. I don't know that I know I do. I know I do the subtle people pleasing. I don't know about the hot
Mhm.
poker in my eye, like, not
All right, that was a little
Yeah.
out there. But I think one way to gauge are we people pleasing
Mhm.
is with that emotion of resentment. If
Yeah.
we start feeling resentment come up,
Mhm.
and I as women, I think that many times I've seen women I've coached in the past. I've seen it in me. We start feeling this sense of resentment that everyone is putting all of this on us.
Mm.
I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And it really is that moment of just saying, "Do you have to do it?"
Mhm. Mhm.
And getting in integrity with yourself,
So
going
good.
back to a couple of weeks ago.
Yep, yep.
But, if you start feeling resentment, then you probably need to look around and see what's happening with the people pleasing.
Right.
What's the people pleasing that you're doing right now?
I would agree. Like, again, I'm still trying to think of when I've been people pleasing. And
Well, and so here's my take on that. I think that once you've been doing this work on your
yes.
mind, you do move out of that. That's one that, for me, I would agree. I don't drop into that anymore.
Mhm. Mhm. Which is so interesting to hear you say that. Last summer, we had a situation where we were, as parents, with one of our kids, like, we requested to write a letter where we were to go over our regrets, resentments, and requests.
Mhm.
And it took me nearly 2 weeks to wrap my brain around resentment. I couldn't tap it. And I still, like, it just feel like I get it. I know what it is.
Mhm.
But from doing the work, and I actually had another coach tell me, you're probably having trouble because you've just done this work so much, you just don't. And I'm like, so I totally
Yeah.
agree with that. Mhm.
I resentment is one of those feelings because I used to feel it often, and when I say used to, I mean, it's been several years. That's one that I have just let go of, and, oh, it brings you so much peace and relief to let go of it, but, I think it's an easy one for women to grab
Mhm.
because somehow it gives us some kind of power over I mean, it's all a lie, but in the moment, "Oh, well, I'll do that all right," "I'll do it, it's my job, I have to do it."
Mhm.
And so somehow you feel like you carry that resentment with you as the only power that you have. I don't know, but it's a negative source of power. So it ends up creating so many bad feelings.
Yeah.
The anger that builds up, the attitude that you carry around with you all day. Um, so it's one that I gave up quite a while ago, and I have not missed it. When
Mhm.
I start feeling resentful about anything, I immediately check in, like,
Same,
"What's
same.
going on?"
Yep. And then and when I do that check-in too, and I like, naturally, just like how you're saying, like, you check in and I'm like, "Oh, I need to take ownership of this.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
Moving on."
yeah, and it is simply an ownership thing, um, because we don't have to people please. There's very few things in life that we have to do,
Mhm. True.
and we
Yeah.
women, we get a shovel and we scoop on all the things we have to do.
Mhm.
I have to clean the house. I have to cook the dinner. I have to take my kids to soccer practice. I have to and the truth is you don't.
Mhm.
You don't have to do any of that. The kids probably aren't gonna starve to death if you don't cook dinner tonight. They're not gonna die if they don't make it to soccer practice. The house is not going to implode on itself. I have personal experience here. The house will not implode if it does not get cleaned.
Same. Oh, girl.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now, I didn't say it would be fun and but none of those things do we have to do, and yet, because we think we have to please everyone, then and put ourselves last, then we build up this resentment.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, what happens if we don't people please? What
Well,
happens if we just say, "Ain't gonna do it anymore"?
life goes on, right? I'm like
Yeah,
Does it go
it's we were talking about this before we started. Sometimes you see the other side of people pleasing is unconditional love. And I don't want to pit them against each other because I don't think it's that simple. But why is it that unconditional love is the other side of people pleasing? Because that
well,
I think people might be surprised by that.
because it or this and I hope I'm going in the direction like because you're telling the truth to yourself, because you are integrity with yourself and you are willing to let people um, have their reaction on their own thoughts about you. You're true to yourself and they get to be true to themselves and you love them anyway and yourself.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
And we didn't say that was easy.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, I didn't say that was easy. I don't.
Ah,
Because many times people pleasing is all about feeling like we have ownership of other people's feelings, right?
yep, yep. Oh, I'm gonna make them happy. Oh, they're gonna be so pleased with me. I'm trying to think like
And I
have a
have actually had thoughts like when I'm the one that's dealing out the work, and I've had women like, being on a committee or something, and I've had women say, "Well, I'm sorry, but I can't do that right now." Or even worse, they don't even say I'm sorry. They're like, "No, I can't take on another thing right now." And in the moment, I'm like, "Well, you don't get to do that. You have to do this. I asked you."
I had a client the other day. This is interesting. She at work, she was eh, she reads her boss's behavior
Mhm.
as an indicator that how she wants to keep him happy with
Mhm.
how she thinks how she turns her work in, right? I know this sounds I'm trying not to, but the truth is she knew that she was turning in the best work possible. And like we're talking about work, like it's not her job to make him happy. It's her job to produce
To do
this
her job, yeah.
right, which was very doable for her. She without one shadow of a doubt, she knew that she was producing the best work possible.
Mhm.
And yet and it was just like drop a mic for her. Several times we went around. She's like, but he gets so spun up. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, that's your thoughts
Mhm.
causing you to spin yourself up
Yes.
and you're miserable.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, but I see that all the time. We believe that we are responsible for keeping the world happy.
Mhm. Mm.
Keeping I spent a long time in a relationship where I would tell you I had to manage that person. I was the one who kept the temperature in the room at a certain setting because I didn't, let me tell you, that is some
I'm
work.
like, how'd you do that, Sonya?
Yeah, not very well in the end.
Right.
Not very well.
Mhm.
Because we can't, right? We
Nope.
can't be responsible for everybody else's emotions. And yet we're taught that from, I don't know, what's one of the earliest things we're taught? Now, don't hurt Susie's feelings.
Mhm.
And so we are taught from an early, and I don't think people do it with any kind of, I think people, we just don't think about what we're saying,
Mhm.
because it seems obvious that, yeah, if I say something ugly to you, that hurts your feelings, and I don't want to do that. And we shouldn't do that if we know we're going to hurt someone. But not being honest or real with them and saying, I have too much on my plate right now. I can't take that on.
Mhm. Mhm.
That may not feel good in the moment, but it's the only answer we can give to stay in integrity with ourselves, to
Yeah.
not feel resentment, and to love that person knowing that they may not like it in the moment,
Mhm.
but it's okay.
It's okay.
They'll figure out their things. I'll figure out my things, and we'll all be okay.
Mhm. I'd forgotten that I'd said to you, we talked briefly just before we
Uh-huh.
start
We
podcast.
pregame.
Do a little coaching,
Yeah.
get warmed up. But the thing is that I think of around it was boundaries, right? It's
Mhm.
like when you think about someone who's in a relationship, say with someone, the example, of course, would be drinking, doing something that you don't care for, but you love this person.
Yeah.
And why do you stay in the relationship if you don't love the behavior? And choosing to be with this person when they're drinking or not. And it felt like, when you're choosing to set up a boundary for yourself in the when they're to not be around them when they're drinking, that is unconditional love for yourself and
Mhm.
them versus pleasing them, being there in the moment with them when they are drinking and you're not and you don't want to be there or
Yeah.
see it or witness it.
Yeah. And you're acting like everything's okay.
And yes, exactly.
Mhm.
And so I just found that interesting to think about, the boundary and that boundaries, and that's the purpose of a boundary, right? Is because you've decided
Yeah.
that you this is necessary because you love and care for yourself. Period.
Right. And boundaries, it's important. You're using that language on purpose. Boundaries are for us.
Us.
Boundaries are not for other people.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I'm only in charge of my emotions. So
Mhm.
I can say, I'm setting up this boundary where if you are drinking,
Mhm.
then
Stand.
I am going to be
Mhm.
somewhere else doing something else.
Mhm.
I'll see you tomorrow. That's the boundary. The boundary isn't, you
You're
better not drink because I'm not going to be around you if you drink.
Yeah. That's what it's false because you're going to be there.
Right.
Because you can't enforce their not drinking. All
No.
you can enforce is your behavior, what you
Right.
say, and it's incumbent upon you to act on your words.
Yes. Yes. So I think, again, it's that being in integrity with yourself, because if I set a boundary and then I stay there,
Mhm.
then
Mhm.
I'm breaking that with me,
Mhm. Mhm.
and being out of integrity with myself is the damage that I've done there.
Mhm.
Um, I'm still people pleasing.
Correct. And if you're people pleasing, this comes back to it's at the expense of your happiness.
Yeah.
Whereas unconditionally loving yourself and the other person and being honest and truthful is sometimes it's not the easiest way.
Right.
People pleasing's easy in the moment, and
Yeah.
then being unconditionally loving yourself and not being there is the
It
painful.
feels a little selfish.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's probably the thing that I've had to get over more than anything else is that snap judgment that, "Oh, that's being selfish."
Mm.
If I'm worried about, making me feel good, uh, I should be focused on the other person.
Mm. Mhm.
But the the thing is, if we're feeling that resentment, if we are, blaming, we're gonna start blaming them. They came and asked me to do this, and I didn't wanna do it.
Mhm.
We start feeling blame, we start feeling resentment. That's not love either.
Mhm.
That is definitely not love. So, we have to get in integrity with ourselves and, like you said, love ourselves and them, and think of the response that's going to create that love for both of us.
Mhm.
So it's
Agreed.
not selfish. But it feels it at first. It does. It's
It's
not
gonna feel
something that you
different,
just
that's for sure. It's different.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But it's so, it's so freeing. I said that I've let that go a long time. We were talking earlier. I had last week I had kind of a few days that were kind of rough because of meetings and expectations and things. And I came home and dinner was still in the fridge, hadn't been cooked yet. And my response was, if I'm in charge of cooking that, then we're not having dinner tonight. And in the moment, that felt a little selfish. But I also took a minute before I said that and after, um, to check in and realize that I did not have it. I didn't have the bandwidth to
Yep.
cook dinner. It was just I had left it all on the field on that day, and I just didn't have it, and to cook dinner would have meant picking up some resentment
Mhm.
because my family didn't fix dinner while they were sitting on the couch. They
Mhm.
could have been fixing dinner,
Mhm.
and I decided I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna pick up resentment, I'm not gonna pick up blame. We are There are more adults in this house. There's only one child, and he's not gonna starve either. So, they know how to get their food. They know how to get their dinner if they're hungry.
I can so relate to that story because there have been quite a few times that I have noticed when I'm like folding laundry and I'm like tired, I don't want to do the things, and I'm getting angry at my husband. And then I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? What's going on? Time to check in. Like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's okay. I get to do this. He works hard for me, for us, for our family. Come on, Judith. It's folding laundry.
Yeah, that is the stop that we have to make, and we don't have to make it,
Mhm.
but how much better is your life when you
Mhm.
do that?
Mhm.
When I stop and say, "Okay,
Mhm.
nobody's gonna starve. I don't have to make dinner, and I'm not going to, and it's okay.
Right?
I'm choosing to make dinner."
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
it could go either way.
Mhm.
There's no right answer. You could fold clothes or you could not fold
Yeah.
clothes.
The truth is he's a better folder than I am, but his
Uh,
mama trained him well.
yeah. My husband's a really good cook. He's as good a cook as I am. So
Mhm.
either of us, and you know what? On any given night, he will cook dinner.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Uh,
when our brains get into that, I have to do this to make everybody happy. Oh, it's so easy to slip into that.
yeah.
And then it's just we're right at resentment's door.
It's so I think I'm like my motive for doing this, yes, so just yesterday I had been working and, have an adult child living at home and my husband who, we're all taking care of other people in our lives right now, whether
Mhm.
it's, my husband takes care of his sibling and my mom has dementia and there's, this just been an active week for us. And I came out from working and I said, well, we're going to need a dinner plan because I'm not cooking. I kind of just announced it out there. And it was like the preemptive, like, I just want y'all to know I'm not cooking.
Mhm.
And you are, I'm happy. I'm just letting y'all know. And here's how it turned out. My husband was like, okay, where do you want to eat out? There we go.
Yeah,
Problem
a
solved.
and it solves so much negativity.
Mm-hmm.
It really is unconditional love. That's what, you know, I don't know, when we want to stop and say, "Oh, I'm being selfish if I say this."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Was I comfortable? No. I mean, did I have all the thoughts in my head? Because here's what was going on. Wow, this is all coming back to me. I was feeling resentful before I even went out there. I'm like, there they are, getting their time,
Mhm.
and I'm
I'm
like,
working.
and ain't nobody cooking dinner yet. I was like, oh, wait a minute. You this is easy to fix. We're all adults here. This is not a problem,
Yeah.
Judith. If you just go out there and let them know, they'll go get something. This is
Yes.
not a problem. But
Yeah,
I noticed the story getting in my head
and it
because
builds. It like
it happened so fast and I was getting hooked in and I was like, yeah. And then it did not. It was very emotional. I was in it and then it was done. And then
mhm.
it snowed and we went to the grocery store. We all ended up going out anyway.
Yeah, and it's all I mean, it's all good.
It's all good.
I nobody you know what I found out when I didn't cook dinner the other night was that they had both had a big lunch, and my son, my 7-year-old, never even realized he didn't eat dinner that night. Now for any women who are freaking out and losing their minds at that, I firmly believe that just like me, if a child is hungry, that child will eat.
Mhm.
And the fact that he didn't eat means that he wasn't hungry. In fact, he ate too much pizza at lunch is what I learned later.
Mm,
So, he didn't eat, and I didn't worry about it
right.
because he's not going to there are gonna be no bad effects from him not eating dinner one night.
Agreed. Agreed.
So, it all worked out, and we drop the drama, and we do
Yeah.
drop in to loving ourselves and loving our people.
Mhm.
And that is such a gift to us.
Mhm. Again, I'm just even thinking about yesterday, and seriously, like this just came to me as we're doing this talking. Like it was a story, and I was going on, and because I was like, it would be nice if somebody would sweep the kitchen, but you know what? I haven't asked anybody to sweep the kitchen,
Yes.
but I want to. But I want to ask nicely, not when I'm in my bitchy voice.
Right. Well,
Mm,
and you have to be ready to hear whatever the response is.
yeah, yeah.
Asking is fine.
Mhm.
Expecting that they're gonna say, "Oh, I've been wanting to do that. Yes, I
Oh,
will be
yeah.
happy to." And, I let's get real. We both have adult children who are in our homes. I don't really care how mine responds. If he's not happy when I ask him to take the trash out, that's fine. He doesn't have to be happy. He does not have to be happy
Mhm.
to do the job. Taking out the trash doesn't require happiness. It just requires a strong arm to carry that bag to not even a strong arm, really, just an arm to carry that bag to the trash
Not
can,
even a
dump it
strong.
in there. I'm not gonna spend any more time thinking about it. So, if he chooses to or he doesn't, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
You ask yours to sweep the floor?
Mhm. Yeah, I've got some self-coaching to do there.
Yeah. But well, and it is a process, right? Because I think so many times we hear that story from the beginning of our lives, we don't wanna hurt other people's feelings, we don't wanna make other people uncomfortable, and the truth is, the most loving thing we can do for ourselves and our family It's
It's
just
so true. I'm sitting here, like, doing it in my I'm, like, coaching myself in my head right now going, "You know what, Judith?" Because I keep having this conversation, like, "We just need a baseline minimum in this house. Is there the minimum expectations?" Like, we haven't had that, we really haven't had to have a dialogue, but as
mhm,
I hear myself going, like, "That's not true," because we're all working, we're all doing the things, and I feel like because I'm home all day that, it's still upon me.
mhm.
They're expecting me to cook dinner and me to clean the kitchen and me to clean out the refrigerator and me.
Yeah,
It's not true. I choose, I get to, and I can ask
yeah,
and request.
absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. Putting that on yourself is, there's no good that's gonna come of that because you are going to indulge in all kinds of negative emotions,
Yep. Yep.
and the only person that hurts is Judith.
Yep. Yep.
When I indulge in negative emotions about all the things that I wish people would do, and not just, it's not just my family, there's other people that I come in contact with,
Mhm.
um, there are things sometimes that I wish other people would do, but all of that negativity doesn't hurt them, it's just
True.
me. So, I've chosen to let it go,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
when I don't let it go, I need to come home and go to bed and not cook dinner.
We'll run that tomorrow model.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. What's the other side?
Mm.
All right. So anything you want to add about people pleasing and unconditional love?
Well, where in your life, right? If we're all doing it, like just for all the listeners to just question the story you're telling yourself. How are you feeling when you're telling yourself that story? What are you making it mean? And where in your life are you doing or not doing something, asking from a place of people pleasing?
Yeah.
And you will know by how you feel.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, it ran through my head as you were talking about that there are a lot of young moms who are in a different space in life than we're in right now.
Mhm.
And but even that, if you will decide all of these things that you feel like you have to do, you have chosen to do them.
Yeah.
It listen, it changes everything. If you look at I have the gift of being able to do this for
Mhm.
my babies, and
Mhm.
they're not gonna be babies forever. We're on the side that says, "Whoa, I can't believe how fast they've grown up."
Mhm.
I am choosing to do this for them now. Then it's a gift to give yourself
Yeah.
and them
Yeah.
because then they get to see the unconditional love that their mama did all those things with.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next week, I'm Sonya Green from Sonya Green Coaching.
And I am Judith Fender, one of the no BS coaches at pnptrap.com.
And you can find either of us online if you want to get coaching. We talk about our coaching clients all the time, but you can look either of us up. We would love to work with you. So
Mhm.
just get on the internet and type in one of those websites. All right. Until next week, I'll see you then.
Bye.